The delivered people comprised of the 12 tribes that originated from the same biological father, namely Israel. God had made a covenant with their great-grandfather to get them back to their land of origin. They had ended in Egypt because their forefather had migrated during the years of famine. The famine had impacted the whole planet, save Egypt. Egypt survived because God had appointed Joseph, one of Israel's sons, to prepare for the famine whilst in Egypt. Joseph was at the time sold as a slave, following a betrayal by his brothers. Many years later, God revisited his promise to bring Israel's descendants back to the land of their forefathers. As they left Egypt, some mixed multitudes joined them and became part of the group that journeyed in the wilderness. They comprised of those of different people of different bloodlines. The fact that God did not voice any concerns about them suggests that he had accommodated them amongst his people. However, there came a time when these mixed multitudes started yielding to their intense cravings for the Egyptian food they had literally gotten fed up of God's diet. Unfortunately, they rubbed their cravings onto the delivered people through complaining. Together they started despising the manna and started questioning, "Who will give us meat to eat? We remember the fish which we ate freely in Egypt, the cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, the onions, and the garlic. But now our whole being is dried up. There is nothing at all except this manna before our eyes." Numbers 11 verse 4-6. Manna is the bread of God's choice, that he rained from heaven on a daily basis, for the people to feed on during the journey. It was nothing similar to the bread they had ever seen. It came already for consumption, therefore all they needed to do was to collect a daily portion, every day. So far, they had reached the point of loathing the bread, and therefore had started modifying it to modify the taste. They had gotten to the extent of grinding it on millstones or beating it in the mortar. Then they cooked it in pans and made cakes. That way, it tasted like pastry prepared with oil. I guess that still did not satiate their cravings. Therefore all the families stood by their tent entrances, and grumbled why they had to put up with such a diet, a stance that did not please God, bearing in mind he was doing that for a good reason. He was weaning them off the taste buds for the Egyptian foods, and the only way was by introducing something different from what they were conditioned to. Nevertheless, they would not have it. Why have it, when the mixed multitudes would not? Nevertheless, they overlooked that it was not about the mixed multitudes who at this point proved a bad company. The only way they could have proved to be a good company was if they complied with the terms of God. Instead, they instigated rebellion amongst God's people. Likewise, mixed multitudes exist amongst the circles of God's people even in this day. They love hanging around God's people, yet they themselves are not. They are those who have no fear of God in them, because they have not yet surrendered their sinful nature. Thus, they still conform to the world and have strong cravings for the things of this world. They, especially in these last days, exhibit the characteristics such as identified by the Apostle Paul, namely, lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, unloving, unforgiving, slanderers, without self-control, brutal, despisers of good, traitors, headstrong, haughty, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, having a form of godliness but denying its power. 2 Timothy 3 verse 2-5. Such are they who corrupt the good character. Hence, we are advised to not associate with them as stated. Do not be deceived, evil company corrupts good habits, 1 Corinthians 15 verse 33, and, from such people turn away, 2 Timothy 3 verse 5. In the case of the mixed multitude, we learn that their attitude provoked God to anger. Moses too was displeased and therefore presented the matter before God, who gave him some instructions, including, "Then you shall say to the people, consecrate yourselves for tomorrow and you shall eat meat. For, You wept in the hearing of the Lord, saying, Who will give us meat to eat? For it was well with us in Egypt. Therefore the Lord will give meat and you shall eat, not 1 day, nor 10 days, nor 20 days, but for a whole month, until it comes out of your nostrils and becomes loathsome to you, because you have despised the Lord who is among you and have wept before him, saying, Why did we ever come up out of Egypt? Numbers 11 verse 18 to 20. Then the Lord God drove the quails by the wind from the sea. The people gathered and prepared them. However, the wrath of God arose before they even finished chewing the meat, and struck the people with a great plague. The plague claimed the lives of those who had yielded to the cravings for the Egyptian foods. The name of the place was subsequently changed to Kibroth Hattaavah, because the bodies of the cravers were buried there.